Hello and welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash Customs Pikachu. We don't evolve, we just level up. Brandon, Miym, I suck at this. Hello.
It's okay. Hello.
We're talking Invincible Season 3, Episode 5. This was supposed to be easy. In an episode that wasn't so plot driven, very character driven. Some would like to say filler. I wouldn't use that term. We will talk about that because I've heard people like, it's filler. It's like, no, you don't know what filler is. All right, let's talk about it. So, short recap in this episode. This is very much a character driven. We get a deep dive in Mark and Eve a little bit. We get a continuation of Titan and the Order. And it's been a few seasons since we've really seen a lot of Titan. And this is like a mostly Titan episode. Very similar to, I believe, episode 5 of season 1.
Yeah, the first time we see Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is like the sequel to that episode.
Mhm.
So we have Eve and Mark are moving on very quickly in their relationship. They're talking about moving out, getting their own place, so that more or less they can have sex without anyone noticing. And Oliver, guess what? He noticed. And of course, mom's not dumb. She knows.
Right.
Um, Mark and Eve, they're like, oh, we got to make money to go rent. So they start a company called Invincible Inc. Eve puts on her business jacket and
This- yeah.
glasses, her very pink glasses, and then starts
Right.
a whole company
Mhm.
where more or less they're heroes for hire. You have Oliver making some friends while skateboarding with powers. He did not kill anybody, he just pantsed them.
Yes.
I also got to say, this is a very spoiler talking episode of Don't Evolve Me. Like always, I suck at spoiler warnings. I like how that's what made me think of spoilers.
Yeah.
Oliver
Oh no, they
didn't kill
didn't kill
people;
somebody. Yeah. Oh
he
no.
just pantsed them. Spoiler alert.
Oh
Uh,
no.
we have Titan being pressured by the Order, which is essentially, I don't even know what is like the Order, like the
Some
Guild
sort
of
of.
the World. The
Yeah, like the kind of like the Illuminati type thing.
hmm
That kind of vibe, deep state, but like evil.
hmm so Titan's being pressured by the Order. Mister Liu wants Multipole out of prison. Titan put it in a tight spot, gets Mark's attention, who is now essentially the hero that protects the prison. There is an initial attempt to get Paul out in a
Well,
very
yeah.
multiple, very gruesome
Mhm.
multiple and duplicate talk about the whole ordeal. You get a bunch of their backstory, their lore, their philosophical differences of like why Kate's a hero, why Paul is an assassin. Titan works with Mark. They take down Mr. Liu in a whole. Basically, the whole thing was don't underestimate Titan. Don't think he's dumb because he will essentially. He has a plan on top of a plan on top of another plan that no one knows except for him and Isotope, typically.
Right.
And yeah, and Ray and Rex have a nice cooked meal together. Mark and Eve slow down romantically, and Titan wins, and that's the episode.
Yep.
So I feel like a lot happens, but like nothing major happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely a slowdown from what we've had the last 4 weeks.
Hmm. I would say this is very much like the slowest episode that we've had so far. Very character driven, but I enjoyed this episode. I think I enjoyed this moment, and this is like one of the reasons why sometimes I wish Invincible was longer than 8 episodes because like I we move at such a quick pace that this episode feels off-putting almost because we're so used to like those quick pace episodes. But I'm actually really happy that we got this moment to just settle down with Titan. We get to carry on his story a little bit more. I'm happy that we got to know Duplicate and Multipole's backstory, where they were more or less were born with powers. Dad just couldn't handle it, or at least that's the story that I got out of it.
Yeah, yeah. And then they get taken away and trained to work for the government or whoever took them.
And then Paul was more or less like, these guys are evil. They're just using us. So I'm gonna go do my own thing. And then he more or less gets used by Mr. Lau as this really. And I will say, like, Paul as an assassin would just be terrifying.
Yeah, he's you can't underestimate that ability to infinitely copy yourself. If you can use
Yeah.
it creatively, I mean, he got out of that cell.
Well, let's talk about multi-Paul, because getting out of that cell was fucking gruesome.
Yeah,
Duplicating your body to the point where like you just have this mass where like
mass.
the door could not handle himself, and as stated before, I believe in season 2, maybe season 1, Kate talks about how like she feels every death, she experiences every death. She's immortal, is like the only one outside of her brother can even experience what death is like multiple times. Not trying, no pun intended there. And then you just see Paul essentially killing himself over and over and over and over and smushing his bodies just to break out of uh, this prison cell, only to get recaptured.
Yep. Just the
And
pile of bodies left out of the cell after he crawls out.
yeah, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, he's a fearsome villain. Like that's a hard villain. And like, I know Invincible just like, unless you're, and we talked about this last 2 weeks ago, unless you're someone like Invincible who can just kill a bunch of copies, like that power is like almost unmatched.
Mhm.
Like if
I
you,
mean, the numbers do eventually.
Mhm.
It's like Superman versus a million lions.
how many, what do you think is their limit? Do you think they have a limit of how many bodies they can copy?
I mean, you'd assume there's got to be a limit of some sort to their power, but it doesn't. They've shown no limits so far. I don't think, because even, well, I guess when Kate was fighting with the Lizard League,
Hmm.
when she was getting all her parts, it looked like she was starting to struggle to separate even before, just from separating so much so fast.
Yeah.
So maybe she was getting worn down and couldn't keep separating.
Well, there's like a rate of duplicating that you can do. Again, try
Mm.
not to be so punny on this. But there's only so much, like, you can only copy yourself so much in like
Mm.
in a certain amount of time. But it's still just the amounts that they can do. What is it, like once every 3 seconds or something
Yeah.
like that? It's almost instantaneously. So it's just a terrifying power, but it's really cool to get both of them and seeing just the difference. Kate, she doesn't necessarily trust the government, but she believes in the cause. She believes in being a hero.
Mm.
And Paul's the opposite. He would rather be an assassin, believes that it's more freeing than being part of, that team, and it's interesting. So, but we had Mr. Lowe, Mr. Lou. It was the first time we really got to experience him like fully.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. He
his
They just like made the off mention about a dragon, and then all of a sudden, here he was.
just giant freaking
Just,
dragon.
yeah, some sort of magical dragon.
It's like the whole like, my dragon isn't from your world, and he's like, you're a fictional character, and it's just kind of like, you're all fictional characters to
Yeah.
us. But like, isn't that just more terrifying? Like, you're a
Yeah.
fictional character. It's like, okay, but like that's kind of scary.
Yeah. That means that they exist outside of reality.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But his power is just like terrifying, that like he more or less like loses consciousness,
Hmm.
and he becomes this spirit dragon that's essentially just like Fin Fang Foom, or like one of those other dragons, and then is very difficult to stop. Do you think Mr. Liu and like Omni-Man fought before?
I mean, I could see it happening,
Hmm.
especially since he apparently is like immortal or something. He can just
Yeah.
be brought back. That would
Oh,
explain, losing to him.
surprised that him and Cecil aren't like in acquaintances. At
I'm
least
sure he
after this
knows who
whole
him. Yeah.
You'd assume.
Yeah,
Also, speaking of Cecil, not in this episode. Really kind of weird that he wasn't in here.
he was mentioned. Mark
Mhm.
mentions when Oliver goes missing right away, his first thought is, should I call Cecil?
Mhm.
Even after everything.
Before we get into that, yeah, let's talk Oliver
Mm,
before we get into the further of the storyline. Oliver goes missing. Debbie's worried.
mm,
He snuck out, and of course he does the typical kid. He finds friends. He plays with them, and I really this moment's so simple, but I thought it was a really important moment
mm.
because I feel like it shows Oliver as like he is just a kid. Like he's grown at a rapid rate. He's gonna be an adult within like a year. But at this moment of time, he's not a kid. He is a teenager. He wants to live his life. He wants to go out. He wants to be free. He wants to have freedom. And the whole thing is Debbie doesn't like, you know, if you're raising somebody who only has like a year or two of childhood, how do you adapt to that? But I think
And
the
he's
biggest,
purple.
and he's purple. But I think the biggest thing is like there's bullies. You expect the worst, and then he just pants them.
Mm.
And it's
Just
just like
owns him.
it is just a moment of like Mark and Eve like appreciating Eve's being this like just back off,
Mm.
back off, and I'm like, you go Eve. But I don't know. I just wanted to like mention it because like this is just a good show of character. I really like the scene. It doesn't like the context of itself doesn't matter, but I feel like just in the longevity of things, it's like that reminder of like Oliver. He's not human, but like he's
Well,
very
just a
human.
kid.
He's a kid. He's humanized
Yeah.
in this moment, even though he's not
Mm.
technically a human. I don't know what the word would be for gaming.
Thraxonized.
Thra- Thraxon Viltrumized. That doesn't sound
Oh, that
good.
sounds bad. Yeah, that sounds bad.
Viltrumized is when he kills the Mauler
Yeah,
twins.
yeah, yeah.
Thraxonized is
Thraxonized.
when he just gets really old really quickly. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. That makes
Yeah, I
sense.
just
That
want to mention
tracks.
it. Let's talk about Mark and Eve.
Mm.
This is like the episode that I feel like is just the whole self own of okay, they're going too fast. Let's slow them down.
Mm.
But I also felt like it was very natural because they're talking about moving in. And you're like, holy shit, dude, you just started dating. You guys are very serious really quickly. I kind of like this, not 180, but this like change in their relationship. I, but now I'll be all honest. I don't know how I feel about the idea of Invincible Inc.
Yeah. The Heroes for Hire,
Hmm.
or the name.
Well, I mean, the name is what it is. It's I don't know what to say. It's like okay, it's a very basic name, but also like he's pretty infamous. I don't.
Yeah.
What else would you call it?
I mean, it helps people know that the blue suited guy is the same guy.
Yep, yep. There you go. See, it might be the best name you can come up with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they say for podcasts, and obviously, I don't do that, and we don't do that here at Don't Evolve Me podcasts. But they say if like your name is really well known, don't
Mm.
call your podcast anything other than your name podcast, because that's
Mm.
how people will find it. So I
Gotcha.
don't know, but I always look at the comics. They did this storyline, and I was always just like, I don't know how I feel about Invincible Inc. Because I'm like, how do you monitor that? Like, how do you? It's like who pays you is where you go, but like you would have to be on call all the time immediately. And I know Mark's are like more or less been that, but you don't necessarily get to pick and choose between emergencies.
Mm.
It's hey, if the world's gonna end, or like if this state is gonna get blown up by a nuclear bomb, or hey, this prison is there's a breakout happening. Which one would you do?
Yeah.
It's like it's I don't know. I've always questioned the idea.
Morally. Yeah.
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 So let's talk about the prison break in Titan. Titan starts attacking the prison. Immediately works Mark up like, hey, help me out here. Paul's gonna escape. We can't have him escape. Mr. Lou's gonna attack. Yada yada. And the entire time they're like, Titan's smarter than what he is. Don't underestimate me. And god damn it, I underestimated him. Because I forgot about like his overall plan. I'm just like, he's getting his butt kicked. How is he winning this? And then like the twist at the end is Machine Head's like he got to deal with him. And
Yep.
Isotope again betrayed,
Yeah, the triple betray.
triple betrayed, and ended up killing Mr. Liu in a really distracting fashion. And I was just curious, like, god damn, that dragon is like invincible. Like that
Yep.
dragon is do 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 do. That's where I'm gonna put the sound right there.
um, yeah. I wonder if because like Superman has like not necessarily a weakness to
Uh-huh.
like magic stuff, but he's not like impervious to magic and stuff like that. And I wonder if there's some sort of connection there because I mean, he got pretty wrecked by this giant dragon thing.
I mean, if a dragon can't feel pain, and it's a spirit,
Hmm,
how do you hurt it?
that's true. But
And
it
I
could,
don't.
but it'll hurt him pretty good too, though.
Yeah,
He bit right into him.
yeah, it looked nasty. This is like the
Yep.
second time he's got like bit like right in front.
Yeah, like big holes in his chest.
And like that's the thing about Viltrumites. They're not like impervious to damage. They just heal super quickly. It's very hard to kill a Viltrumite.
Hmm.
And the last little, well, two little bits. Mark and Eve, they decide to slow it down, and then Ray and Rex have their meal. And I really like that scene between the both of them. I'm enjoying their little side arc, their little like, you know, yeah. And like it didn't happen in the comics. Ray was a man in the comics, died during that moment, and I like this change, and I think that, like based on like what the internet is talking about, they too are enjoying this change. I keep seeing articles like there's this one minor change in the comics, and it's for the better.
Yeah.
And it's literally just, Ray's still alive, Ray's a female, and Ray and Rex are having a moment together. That's kind of nice. I had a feeling that that was where they were going to go with that. Rex was going to pick it up and, you know. All right, let's move on to the segment. I got some questions. I don't think we're. I think I'm only at 10.
Questions?
Yeah, it's actually pretty light for me.
All right, rapid fire. Let's go. Just kidding.
Rapid. Oh, yeah, it's 11.
Oh, get out.
I've already asked a few. All right, question number one. Is this a banger? The season of
Is
bangers.
is this episode a banger?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think you can not say that it's the weakest episode of the season so far.
Wait, you're saying it is?
Saying it's the weakest episode of the season so far.
Mm-hmm. Like in terms
Right.
of like rating or in terms of like intensity?
Well, intensity for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. But I would also argue that if like we did another story, another show, and it was based off Titan, in a way, this is Titan's finale. This is
That's,
Titan's
I mean,
banger.
big moves. Yeah, big moves.
I mean, he
I
fought
just,
a giant dragon, man.
yeah,
A
yeah, but
fictional dragon.
but the consequences, they didn't feel,
Well, maybe not for Mark. It's just
yeah,
another day for him.
yeah,
He did get 3 months of rent.
it's true. We got fat stacks of cash to live off of now.
All right. Filler?
I mean, filler is such a term thrown around these days. I mean, it happened in the comics, right?
It did.
The story happens in the comics.
It did, very
That's
much so.
that's not filler.
I know. Everyone, when it doesn't like serve the main plot, like if it doesn't advance the plot like directly, it's always like, oh, it's filler. Oh, it's a filler episode. Like that's not what filler is.
No.
Filler
Uh,
is adding more that doesn't benefit the story, and two, it's not like part of the comic.
Yeah, that's like the
This,
main technical definition for filler is
yeah.
non-canon.
Or people are like, oh, it's a bottle episode. It's like a bottle episode is literally characters are in one space to save the studio money. Doesn't make
Yeah,
sense for animation to do that unless
not
it's
really.
literally
No,
the
the
background.
joke. Yeah, or it's like the joke of the episode, like with Family Guy.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's just not really a filler episode. It's a character-driven episode. We're not advancing the plot like directly forward. But are we happy? This is question number 3. Are we happy we got a more character-driven lore episode?
I mean, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like for me, it's one of those. I enjoy the lore. I enjoy learning
Yeah,
more about the stories, and it's one of those when you only have 8 episodes. Where do you place it?
that's true. I mean, I'm intrigued by the whole order and stuff like that. But like aside from these two like episodes, it doesn't really feel like they actually have any impact on the world.
Mhm.
You
I
know?
honestly forget in the comics where their impact is. It's one of those. It's nice to fill out the world, but it's like I don't know what they do with the overall story.
Mhm.
But I also like it feels nice to get like that understanding, that background,
Yeah.
that and I also really like Titan as a character, at least in this show.
Mhm.
The comic book, which you can't actually quite see it too much. There it is. There he is. The comic book, he was okay of a character. He wasn't like one of my favorites. He's not wasn't like super memorable. I will say, especially with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man now being officially done with season 1, like the finale is out. I thought it was a really interesting comparison between the two because Titan is more or less Tombstone from Spider-Man. Same
Yeah.
similar powers, same similar I mean,
Upraising story, like the reluctant gang member.
yeah, the reluctant gang member who can get a really tough skin. And your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man features Tombstone like very heavily. Really enjoying that character. And the finale, there was a moment, well, the 2 episode finale, where Tombstone and Spider-Man team up. Really cool action scene. It's like the action scene that made it a 5 for me. And then like the next day, literally a day later, we get Titan Mark teaming up, and it's like a very similar relationships. Mark physically is Superman, but
Mhm.
when it comes to like his personality, he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like he's just Spider-Man, and they even had a team up. Like in Marvel Comics, Invincible Spider-Man. Obviously, he was Agent Spider was part of the show, the kind of mimic that from the comics. So yeah, like it's just a really cool comparison back and forth, but it's also like, is this planned? Like we're getting a very heavy like Tombstone ish run this
Push.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like the same character, but they're very close, but they're not the same. I don't know. I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed learning about these characters. I enjoyed seeing it. I enjoy finishing the Titan storyline or progressing it. This is where I wish it was just a little bit longer, so we had more of those moments because I think they did it really, really well. It's just we're just rapid pace. It's like what's the next
Yeah.
thing? It's like okay, this wasn't as big, but even though like this might be a finale in other TV shows.
Mhm.
All right, we kind of answered this already, but is Invincible Inc. a good idea for Mark and Eve?
Yeah. I mean, they got to make money somehow, and I don't know how else you monetize your skills like that so easily.
That is a question in superheroes. Like, how do you monetize it? Heroes
Mhm.
for hire. All right, number 5. Did Mark actually help the prison?
Mm,
I don't think
I
he
mean,
did.
eh, eh. I mean, he stopped more people from dying, I guess.
Like, I look at that, I'm like, Eve did more than Mark did in that whole thing.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
she saved, not saved, but like, she reconstructed the prison. She put the people back
kept all
into
the
prison,
prisoners. Yeah, kept them all from escaping.
except for Paul.
Yep.
Sneaky Paul. Just kind of.
Yep. Too
Mark did,
many.
Mark didn't give a shit about the prison. He was just destroying shit left and right.
Mm.
Like, of course, he's getting hit by a giant dragon and he's breaking things, but I'm just like, what did the prison pay for here?
Right. Like this is what would have happened. I mean, maybe even not as bad had Mark not been there, because he might have just came and broke out Paul and left. Just take the one person.
Yeah, it's like maybe the prison didn't make it such a good idea. But then Eve came in and like reconstructed everything. And we're like, okay, is it Invincible Inc. or is this Adam Eve Incorporated? Because like
Yeah. Right.
I feel like she's more valuable in that aspect.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I do say like those two work really well. You have the guy who punches things and can essentially take on almost anybody outside of alien threats. And then you have Adam Eve there to repair.
Clean up after him.
What is it? It's like Tony Stark and what's the
Oh,
company in Marvel?
oh, oh. Not sword. Is
No.
it?
It's not Wrecking Crew, but it's something close to that.
Uh, yeah.
It
I
was in
can't
It was
remember.
in Homecoming. But yeah,
Homecoming. Yeah.
it's like Tony Stark in his own like repair business. It's like you destroy the city and now you're cleaning the
Get
city,
it? Yep. You
but
get
you're
paid
getting
to fix it.
yay. It's not corrupt at all.
Nope. Absolutely not.
Oliver makes good choices. I don't know why that's a question. All right. Number 7. Titan is free. Machine Head is in charge. Now what with these characters?
I don't know. We'll see him in a couple more seasons. Sorry.
2 seasons later.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I forget.
It never really felt, like I said, even the impact after the first time with Titan.
I mean, there's no way that Mark like actually like works with Titan again, right? Like I think it's pretty clear like okay, 2 times now.
I mean, he didn't really work with him,
I mean,
did he?
yeah.
I mean, he was going to end up doing the same thing anyways. He already made a deal with the prison. Regardless of whether or
Yeah.
not Titan spoke to him at all, he still would have been there when the dragon came.
He got used so easily though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it like he wasn't like outrightly used. Like it didn't like hurt him, but it was kind of just like Mark definitely feels played here. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I help you, but like now you're Adam Eve. She's pretty fucking badass, right?
No, your powers are crazy.
Dude, that
Yeah.
there was like moments in that animation where I was just kind of like, this just feels weird. It's super slow. Everything's just like very static. And then that final fight scene with like Adam Eve with the power suit and like the multiple sheets of
Turns her
like
into a
ink.
giant. Yeah, turns her into a giant like battling ram and spins her around and smacks her into it.
Well, I'm
That
like,
was ridiculous.
I'm just like, okay, this is fucking dope. Like,
I
all
can't
right,
imagine what that was like for her though.
I don't think she was the ram. I think she just made the projection. She was still up in the sky. At least that's how I interpret it. I could be
It
wrong.
looked like to me that she put herself into that metal ball
Oh,
and then smashed out of it, and then was like she was in it while he was spinning it around.
that could be. I
That's
took
what
it as it was.
those are the vibes that I got, and I was very like, that's wild.
Hey, man, don't judge how he smashes his girlfriend.
Let him cook.
Yeah, just, I don't know. I just really liked her powers. I'm just like, God damn, all right. This is why I fucking love this character. It's because in the comics, like she has some pretty badass moments like this, and it's really cool to see it animated. She's essentially just Green Lantern.
Yeah,
Even though there's
yeah.
already a Green Lantern like character, she's
I mean, more powerful than Green Lantern though, because she can make her
arguably.
stuff real. Well, yeah, I mean, definitely,
Mm,
because she can turn it into like real objects
yeah.
and stuff, as opposed to just the projections.
Hmm. All right. Mark and Eve take it slow.
Is
Good
that a
call.
question?
Right call.
I mean, y- for yeah, yeah. I mean,
For the show, for them.
yeah, for the show, yeah.
Hmm.
For them, probably too.
I just feel like this is the comic in the show, just being like, okay, we're gonna push it. Now we're gonna pull it back. They're together
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
We're gonna be less in your face about it,
Yeah.
or will they?
Yeah, hopefully.
Is Debbie in the right for wanting Mark to stay?
Yeah, I think normally, I mean, it's a weird situation, but
Hmm.
because it's such a weird situation, I think, yeah, absolutely.
I like initially, you're right? Like you're in college, you want to move out, and like that's she did the right thing of saying like it's your decision, you do what you want. But I also feel like it would also be in her right to be like, no, you're not gonna put this kid on me
Hmm.
and then go move out, and
And
then I
leave
have
me
to.
here to try to keep up with this superpowered child. Yeah.
Hmm. On top of the fact that like your dad is gone, I'm
Mhm.
alone. I think it was right. I really like
Hmm.
that they showed that moment. Ray and Rex. We liking this arc?
Yeah, I'm getting tragic ending vibes, so pretty, pretty hard. Yep. Yeah.
I'm not saying anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
I also am getting the same little vibes too.
Yeah.
I will say that, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm really liking the romance.
Yeah.
I hope
It's
it
nice.
continues.
It's nice to see Rex being nice to somebody.
I I really love that growth from Rex, just
Mm.
as a person. It's cool to see. All right, Mr. Liu, is he making a comeback? He's not dead. I, maybe.
Uh, I
I don't.
mean, I'm sure. I'm still not sold that it's got anything to do with Invincible.
I don't know either. I forget.
Yeah.
I honestly forget. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't mind the side stories. It's a side
Yeah.
quest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Side quests are fun. Titan's fun. Titan's like one of my like the one of the favorite characters from season one. He was like that was like one of the better episodes outside of like.
That that is true. In the first season, especially, I mean, that's when we get introduced to Battle Beast.
Hmm.
Mm.
Everyone's favorite.
Yep.
Also mentioned in this episode,
Yes. Yeah.
my space kitty
Yeah.
and the machine voice. My space kitty. Oh, I didn't. That's a horrible impression. I take it back.
Yeah. You gotta like auto tune yourself while you're talking.
I try to do it naturally. I guess that's the whole point, not to do it naturally.
Yeah. 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 Very
I tried.
unnatural.
All right, rating. Well, I'm
Uh, 3.5, 4. Probably
three,
closer to three. Three
three
plus. I mean,
plus, 3 plus.
yeah.
I have four, maybe four minus. I don't know. I still think this was great.
I'm not quite there.
Not quite there.
It was fun.
Hmm.
It was a fun episode.
I think this is an episode we'll all forget,
Yep.
but I also think we'll remember a lot of the information from this. Like it's one of those like it's necessary for the lore.
Mm.
It's necessary for like understanding certain characters and what they do in the future. And I'm not even saying this as like, oh, this point and this point and this point will happen later in the comic book. I'm not really pulling it from there. It's just really cool to get like that next continuation of Titan. It was cool
Yep.
to get like more of an understanding of the underworld in this world. It was just I don't know. I just enjoyed learning more about the characters, and I thought the story was good enough for it to be entertaining. But with only 8 episodes in the season, I do understand why people would not like this episode. So I'm like, it's
And
still a four, but it's
yeah, I wouldn't say I don't like it. But I'm happy we got it, but ready to kick it up a notch again.
it's going to kick it up the notch. All right, well, it's NBC or should we do the fan favorites? Let's talk too much about episode titles.
Your choice. What do you want to do
Let's
first?
do the episodes, and we'll get into NBC MVP. All right, we're switching it up a little bit.
Okay.
So this, because usually this is what we end on, and we're gonna end on it because I feel weird not doing it. MVC,
Okay.
MVV, and then we'll get into that segment.
Okay.
MVC, I'm kind of there's like two or three I'm considering here.
From this episode.
I think I have my one, but I'm still debating in my head. I have 7 listed.
You always just list everybody that was in the episode.
Oliver's not on my lists.
Oh, excuse me. I'm dying.
All right, number 7 is Duplicate. I just really liked her story part of it. Her little cameo. Number 6 is Debbie.
Hmm.
Important part. Number 5 is Rex, because if Rex is in the episode, he's on the list. It's just how Rex works.
We have made that canon now.
Number 4 is Mark for me.
Number 4. Okay.
This is probably the lowest I'll ever put him on an MVC. I just didn't think he was, at least in an episode that like he's a main-ish character. I don't know. He was just there. He's just doing main character
kind of
things.
going through the motions. That's kind of what it felt like this episode.
Yeah,
Going
it wasn't about
some
him.
big monster. Yeah.
Number 3 for me is Paul.
Hmm.
Did you know Simeon Liu, who was doing the voice of Paul?
Yeah.
Shang-Chi?
Yes.
I didn't like.
Before.
There was like a, what is it? A monologue moment when he was in the prison talking to Kate, and I didn't realize it was him. But then I just like heard that character talk and just like, where did I hear this voice before? And like, that's Shang-Chi, Simeon Liu.
Shang-Chi.
And I don't know. I think just like realizing that and then like just hearing him talk and that character being played out more, really liked it. I'm like, it's one of the better parts of this whole episode. Number 2 for me is Titan. But I also feel like he could be number 1.
Yeah.
And
that's what you put number 1.
my number 1 is Eve.
Okay. I could see switching those two for this episode.
Here's why I have Eve number 1. One, the coolest part of the episode was is her animation part. Just like just fucking dope. Like awesome. She's also like the one who created Invincible Inc. She's the one who had the idea, and she's really the one who did all the cleanup work and made it really worth it.
Yeah.
Titan deserves it as well. And you can almost give this coat. I don't know. Titan had a whole master plan, but I also just, he wasn't at the face of it. He was kind of in the background doing everything. And he also wasn't one of the main players who did all the things. He more just organized it. Isotope is the one who killed him.
That's true. Isotope. Machine Head's the one that killed him.
Oh, right. But Isotope is like more or less the reason why it happened. If Isotope's not there, Machine Head doesn't go down. If Isotope's not there, Mr. Liu doesn't go down. If Titan's smart, he would just kill Isotope.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the slippery bandit there.
He is. Very slippery. So I don't know. Did that convince you? Is it Eve?
Sure.
Yes.
We'll give her one. We'll give her one.
And this is another reason why, because MVP, most valuable villain. This is where I put Titan.
Yeah, I mean he wins.
He wins. He had the master. I just really like the arc of like, don't underestimate me, and then like that's what happens every single time. And I just love Machine Head at the end was just like, shouldn't have. Don't underestimate that one.
Yeah, he's a lot smarter for somebody that's brain is half full of rocks.
I just like it at the end. Like, oh, he learned his lesson. Don't. I also just like the whole like, can I have my autonomy? And he's just like, you caught me in a very giving mood.
Mm-hmm.
So I am curious to see where it goes, but I don't know if it's like this huge thing for Mark. But I do like the side story. All right, now we can get into it. Let's talk too much about episode titles. This episode title was supposed to be easy. I'm kind of confused where this is coming from. Who said this?
What I was thinking was maybe it's the job of protecting the prison and keeping prisoners in there.
Mm-hmm.
I figured it'd be easy, stopping some random supervillains from breaking out. Didn't expect to go against a giant dragon that almost kills them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
That would be my guess. Yeah.
That's a pretty good guess. I couldn't really think of anything else. All right. 6, 7, and 8. I do have a prediction of I think what's going to happen. I finally was like what order did events happen in Invincible? So I looked it up because there's three things I'm expecting in this season still. Three big moments.
3 big episodes.
Powerplex, which rumored is number 6, which is all I can say is I'm sorry, which, if you know the comics, it matches. And remember, Aaron Paul is the voice of Powerplex. Jesse.
Forget.
Oh, yeah. Science, bitch.
Gotta
Num-
hit it at least once.
Number 7, what have I done? And I think I know what this episode is talking about, and it's not the consequences of Powerplex. I think episode 7 is the episode that I keep talking about.
Okay.
The ghost of.
You're just trailing me along here.
I am.
Just keeps not happening.
I thought it was going to happen mid-season finale. It did not. It did not happen last episode. I keep waiting for it. They keep teasing it indirectly. I think it's episode 7 because I looked at the order of things. It does happen before Conquest, and I'm pretty sure Conquest comes in episode 8.
Okay.
So Powerplex episode 6, Ghost of Angstrom Levine episode 7, Conquest episode 8. And if this is what happens, holy fuck. The last 2 episodes are earth-shattering.
Here for it. Here for it.
Yeah, I'm you're not ready.
That's what I like to hear.
More just like one particular moment, but I'm excited. It's such a brutal part in the comics, and it's really. I read an article today too, talking about like Invincible, and they're like, "Oh, this is the moment where like shit gets real," and I would agree. When Conquest comes, that's when shit gets like anime level of fights, and I'm excited for it. I'm all here for it.
Do you hear that?
All right, Mr. Miym. Thank you very much. I think that's all we have. Or we made it under 45 minutes.
Solid. Yeah.
I'm not used to doing this. It's usually
Doesn't
30
happen too
minutes
often.
over.
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, thank you, Brandon. This is your
Thank you.
host, signing off.